Welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast, where Christ-following business leaders explore God's will and ways for business. This show is a ministry of the Center for Christianity and Business at Houston Christian University and features conversations with today's Christ-centered business leaders who are representing Christ faithfully in the business world. I'm your host, Darren Shear, and if you want to make your work, leadership, and company's culture more Christ-centered, you've come to the right place. On this episode, we're joined by Kandace Brands. Kandace serves as instructor of business at Dordt University, which is in Sioux Center, Iowa, teaching courses such as personal financial management and stewardship, office management, and courses in healthcare business administration. Prior to Dordt, she served at Avera McKinnon Hospital in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for 13 years. In addition to teaching, she serves as the faculty advisor for Dordt's Flame Club, collaborating with other faculty members and organizing trips for the students to engage in area businesses while building their network with business leaders. And Kandace is actually responsible for adopting my book, The Christ-Centered Company, there at Dordt University and using it there as a textbook. And as part of the course, the students are required to take another Christian business leader through the Christ-Centered Company assessment, which if you're listening to this podcast, you're familiar with that, and then to generate a report and a reflection of their findings and recommendations for that business owner based on what they've learned through the course in the book. So excited to hear her share the great work that's happening there at Dordt. Kandace, welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Kandace, when did you first realize God wants to be involved in your work in business and teaching business students from a Christian perspective?
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I think it probably was when I started at Dordt University. I guess I maybe didn't really think about it a whole lot in my career prior to starting at Dordt. I've always, I've been a Christian for a number of years. And I did my work because I loved people and I wanted to help them. But I didn't really think about it from that biblical perspective until I got to Dordt and was really educated on how Dordt University wants to educate their students and how valuable and important it is for students to understand that we're sending them out into the world, not just to go and do mission work, but that they're actually doing mission work while they're doing business and while they're doing their work. One of our key phrases here at Dordt University is every square inch. And we really do believe that we're sending students out to all parts of the world, to all areas of work, to go and be Christ's hands and feet to whoever students come into contact with.
Yeah. And a lot of our listeners will recognize that every square inch refers to the famous quote by Abraham Kuyper that there is not one square inch in all of creation that the Lord does not declare mine. And I may be paraphrasing that a little bit, but that is at least the gist of it. And that really comes through in what you're going to hear about Dordt, what Dordt is up to. And they are discipling business students to go into becoming the next generation of Christian business leaders in the marketplace, and not just business, but other fields as well. But we're going to focus on business today. So what was it about Dordt? Like, was there a certain professor or a certain kind of faculty training program that you went through? Like, when did it really start to click for you?
Yeah, I would say two things. Exactly what you said, faculty training. Dordt does a really great job of onboarding their faculty. And one of the books we read is Kuyper. So we get that information right off the bat. We start off in the summertime prior to the fall, classes getting started, and then we meet together throughout the whole year. So we have a whole year of onboarding with all the new faculty of helping us understand Dordt's perspective of work. And then I would say kind of the second thing, even prior to when I started as a faculty member, I went on a campus visit with my daughter to Dordt. And we had first gone to a public university campus visit, and it went okay. It was good. But then we went to a campus visit at Dordt University, and I was just blown away with the perspective of how they are helping us understand what kind of students we're producing from our university. So I was hooked at that campus visit and really excited to be able to teach as a faculty member as well.
Yeah. And this is a rare approach, even among Christian universities, to really bring biblical principles, biblical values into business. Thomas Aquinas said that theology is the queen of the sciences. So you really don't understand your discipline apart from your understanding of God. And Dordt is one of those universities that's really leading the way and making sure that the professors that they bring on are more than just going to be able to sign a statement of faith, but that they really get it. They really understand that we're here because theology matters, because God matters in business, and God matters in healthcare, and God matters in politics, and all of the other different aspects of culture and academics.
Yeah.
So, Kandace, how are you using the Christ-Centered Company book and the assessment in your course?
Yeah. So we were excited to find um, a current book that would help students understand what we were hoping to teach them. So the class that I'm teaching is Introduction to Business. So I have mostly freshmen, sometimes sophomores or juniors if they're transferring into our program. But the idea of our class is to prepare them for how we want to teach business to our students. So yes, I give them information about each area of business, like human resources or marketing or accounting or finance. But really the backbone of this class is to help them understand that we're preparing them to enter our program, to learn about how to do business well, from a biblical and a godly perspective, how they can have excellence in their work. So we're going to challenge them and to be excellent in all the areas of business. Um, and doing that because we can bring Christ into our work. So that really is kind of the backbone. And so because of that, we've been searching to utilize a book that can help students understand this. And we found this book and decided to give it a try this past semester, fall semester of 2025 is the first time that we used it. And so we decided to have students read through it slowly throughout the semester, using our class times for discussion, taking a few habits at a time to help students discuss how could they see this play out in the real business world. I've had a few different activities to kind of apply it in real world experiences. But really, the best that I feel that has helped the students understand these concepts is by interviewing a business leader and then having them take the assessment, having the business leader take the assessment and having the student then write a reflection paper based on their interview that they have with this business leader. So I have the students do two of these interviews. Like I said, we're reading slowly through the book throughout the semester. So the first interview is due about mid-semester, and it's covering half of the book. The conversation with the interview tends to go sort of through all the entire book, but I'm asking the students to focus primarily with their questions on the first half of the book. And then the second interview would be due towards the end of the semester, focusing on the second half of the book. So they're interviewing two business leaders. They're having to either find one themselves or ask me for some help, and take that time to have a great conversation after the business leader has taken the assessment.
Well, Candace, as an author, it doesn't get any more fulfilling for me than what is happening, where these college students, freshmen,
Yeah,
are now going and introducing seasoned Christian business owners and executives to the idea that God cares about their business and God has guidance for their business. And it's college freshmen
hmm,
that are introducing them, and I'm sure some of them, they've been walking this out, on some level, maybe haven't had quite a comprehensive framework to think about what they do, and how their work in business relates to the work of God and the mission of God. But they are, and like how many students are, so last semester and now this semester?
yeah, somewhere between 100 to 120 students a year we have take the course. So I teach three sections of it. They're a little bit bigger sections. So somewhere around 100 to 120 students is what we're seeing go
Yeah.
through. Yep.
And now and it has this multiplier effect where they're now going and introducing these other business owners to that, who then will take that seriously and go and make some changes and start to reevaluate their 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 business practices through the
Yeah.
lens of scripture. In fact, I just talked to one of those today who has a insulation company up in Minnesota, and he is fired up about tweaking up their purpose statement to come into more
That's so
alignment
great.
with what God has called him to do with
I
this
love that.
company and how he's called him to steward it. Like, what are they saying in these reflection papers?
Yeah. As far as the business leaders go, some of them are saying, I am so thankful that I'm sort of following these habits and I didn't even realize it. Some are very intentional about, maybe not that they're a Christ-centered company, but they're very intentional in their business. And so it gives them affirmation of what they're doing, is on track. Some have said, yep, I scored lower in this area and I'd really like to make some improvements. So it's been so good, and I've been wanting to connect a little bit. For I guess that would maybe be one way that I'd like to take it a bit further, is connect with these business leaders in some way, to encourage them, to challenge them, to give them some feedback from what the students are saying as well.
So you haven't actually heard from any of the other business owners yet at this point.
I have
Um,
not yet, but
yeah,
it is something on my agenda to connect with them real soon here. Yes,
yeah. Well, I've heard from a couple of them, and one of them, like I said, that I just met with this morning,
I
and
love that.
so uh, changes are afoot, and there's action that is being taken
Yeah.
as a result of that.
That's so great to hear. That's so encouraging.
Yeah, are there any specific examples that you can think of any of the aha moments that the students have had
Oh,
or
there's a
expressed?
lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. As I was grading this last section of papers, I put a number of comments to talk about with you because there were so many. Almost all of them, I would say, have shared just how important this was and kind of changed their vision of how God can use them in business. Some of them even said, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into business. I wanted to maybe use my talents for maybe more ministry or just something that felt a little more like God is using me. And through this, seeing that this is exactly where God is calling them to. So that's been exciting. Um, I so for this first paper, most of the students, I would say maybe 90% of the students interviewed a parent or some sort of relative. And for the second paper, I'm going to encourage them to find someone other than a relative, but I still feel like it was such a great opportunity for students to connect with someone who's close to them, who will be close to them later on in life when they are in their career. And so they've opened up conversations with a parent, or I think you were talking with an uncle
Mhm.
of a student, and just the fact that they've opened up this avenue of conversation in this area. I think I'm hoping that maybe this may lead to some mentorship in business because of it. But many of the students have parents who are entrepreneurs who started their own business or are in some sort of leadership capacity. And so that was really interesting to me to see that. But I do want to encourage them to also find somebody else outside of a relative to again maybe open up a relationship with someone else that can continue to pour into these students. So it might be a little bit harder for students to find that leader. I'm hoping to have maybe some in my back pocket that they might be able to connect with me and ask if they are struggling finding a leader.
Yeah. Well, these students are in such a ideal position just when you think about like the biblical model for discipling young people
Mhm.
is one of the the regrets that I have is that my not that there was much that I could have done about it or even thought to have done about it, but my first job was working with a bunch of people that didn't know God, and their lifestyle was very evident of that, and my lifestyle had kind of conformed to that culture that I was around. And yet the Hebrew model is that you go to work in your parents' company, your father's company in most cases, culturally speaking. So, whereas Jesus discipled, uh, well, in Joseph's carpentry shop
Mhm.
is where he spent,
Yeah,
most of his
that's
years
really interesting.
learning.
Yeah.
And so that these parents are able to have the language that maybe they haven't had before.
Yes.
They would always do things with integrity and you know participate in their church and serve as elders and deacons and
Hmm.
donate to the ministries and things. But to have the biblical language to talk about how they do their work, how they run, like this is why we are honest, even when it's painful
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and this is why we instill these values
Yeah.
in our company, and that their children are able to, as 18, 19 years old, to be able to get steeped in that kingdom culture and God's ways of doing things, is incredibly exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at a quote right now from one of the students, and they wrote, "Watching my mom choose integrity over easy profit showed me
Mm.
what real leadership looks like." Um, So I exactly that they're
Wow.
seeing directly, and then like you said, giving language to that for the students, for the parents to share with their student, their child, why they're doing what they're doing, because we love the Lord and we want to honor Him in our work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And this kind of mentorship is what led you to start or led Dordt, somebody somewhere along the line started this flame club, right?
yeah.
Where faculty members will organize trips for the students, and you'll have like a coffee shop and a pastry shop that the students run, and then you take the proceeds of that to take the students on a trip to go and learn about other companies and see other companies and how they are doing things from a Christian perspective. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. So our business club has been around for a number of years. I honestly don't know how long. It's been a while. I'm the faculty advisor for what we call the Flame Club right now, and it stands for Future Leaders and Missional Entrepreneurs. So that's the acronym there. We run two different shops on campus. One that's sort of a morning shop, coffee, quick bites kind of shop, and then an evening shop for smoothies and cookies and things like that. The student it's student run club, so I just advise, And the profits that we receive off of our shops, then we utilize to bring students to different businesses throughout the year. So we go on one trip in the fall, one in the spring. We're headed to Denver next week. We're visiting, I think it's 5 different businesses, a variety of businesses. Uh, I think they're going to be really interested. We're going to the Rockies Stadium. We're going to see a data center. We're going to see a coffee roaster, just a variety of businesses. And that happens on every trip so that students have the opportunity to get their feet into at least 10 to 12 different businesses throughout the year to learn a little bit more about how leaders are running their business and why they're running it the way they are. And it's just been an amazing learning experience for students, not just to run a business, but to also see other business leaders in action.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
One of the things that's
great.
so powerful about it in the way that the parents are able to be involved in this and going through the assessment and having the reflection written on their businesses and their business practices is that that they they are heroes for these students,
Hmm. Yeah.
providing that example because I think for most of us we become or strive to become like our heroes,
Mhm.
and most business people have never had a hero of the Christian faith who works in business.
Yeah.
Because if you ask, and as I do, I ask people all the time, who are your heroes, and who
Mhm.
are the heroes of the Christian faith
Mhm.
over the last 100 years, and virtually every response that I've gotten has been a preacher, has been a pulpit minister,
Okay.
not somebody who works in business.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
nobody
interesting.
says my CEO
Right.
at my company. Nobody says, my mid-level manager at my company, generally speaking.
Yeah,
But I think that's gonna change. I
I
think that's
do.
gonna
I
change.
love that. Yep, I
Yeah.
agree.
Because that's where, and that's why so many students that are serious and passionate about the gospel
Mhm.
and Christian mission will never go into business
Mhm.
unless it's just out of a financial necessity. They will assume that the only way I can really do something of consequence for the kingdom is to go to Bible school, to go to seminary,
Yep,
so that I can go and become a pulpit minister.
yep,
And
yep.
having been to seminary, I can tell you that most of my classmates are now working in for-profit companies.
Mm.
And hey, if it was good enough for the Apostle Paul, I mean, I think it can be good enough
That is
for,
true. That
because
is
he
true.
he was not bivocational. I mean, he had his tent making business. That's how he
Uh-huh.
made money. He did
Yeah.
not make money any other way.
Yes.
There were some offerings raised to, for Christians in need, but in terms of the way that he went about things, that was he had his business,
Yep.
and yeah, he preached. And so that's a template that is kind of reemerging.
Yeah, it's
And
exactly what our hope is for students to see. Yep. And our hope even just for this class as they're getting started, and we have sort of bookend classes to our middle, our let's learn your craft and be excellent in your craft, but
yeah,
and throughout we have some other different kinds of courses, but specifically our bookend courses, our 101 and our senior sem course are about helping students remember to focus on this is the work that God's given you, and now you can go out and live the gospel in your work and in your excellence. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, Candace, we have some college professors listening to this right
Hmm.
now. What is your advice for a professor that is in the familiar environment of, I teach at a Christian school,
Hmm.
or at least it's on the marquee, but but there doesn't really seem to be much that's happening aside from maybe a mandatory chapel attendance for
Mhm.
the students or something. Like, what can they do? Where should
Mhm.
what kind of
It's a big
hope or
question.
direction can you give to
Yeah,
them?
it's a big question. I would love to actually even just read a quote from one of the students, and I think that utilizing this book can be a really great resource for students. So yeah, finding good content. But I was going to read this quote just to maybe help professors understand some of what students would see if they interviewed. So this interview moved the ideas from the book to real life experiences by someone close to me. I now understand that a Christ-centered company does not have to appear over religious. It can be reflected through excellence, integrity, service, and stewardship within an industry. Um, this challenged me to consider the type of leader I want to become in business. And through the conversation I had with my dad, I saw Christ-centered leadership is a daily commitment to align business decisions and work ethic with faith. It's not about perfection, but about consistency, leading a business with character and purpose found in Christ. So I guess wondering about advice to professors, I think having good textbooks, having good content for your courses, challenging your students in this way of thinking about business, not just about, I mean, obviously we want students to graduate with excellence. So we do push them in their craft. But we also want them to always see it from the perspective of how has God created you and what does he want you to go and do out in the world, for his glory.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about a parent who gets a call from their kid at school saying, hey mom, hey dad, I need to I need to interview you
Mhm.
for a school project about how you incorporate biblical principles in business, and you're going to be evaluated, and I'm going to write a reflection on that. Like, how how
They
how
may
much does
feel
that
intimidated.
reinforce their, yeah, but how much does that reinforce their decision to send their kid to college
Oh,
at
for
Dordt
sure, right?
University? You know what
Yes,
I
I
mean?
know. I was thinking about that too. If I had a student who had this same and they came to me and asked me these questions, I would just be so excited that that's what they were learning. This
Yeah.
is the basis of their class here. That's really exciting. So yes, that definitely affirms the decision to send their student to the university that they're at. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I did remember that question I was going to ask you before we started the interview. And that was, have you been a part of the Christian Business Faculty Association?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay. Well, I really think you need to present a paper at that conference on what's happening there at Dordt, because professors need to hear about this,
Okay, I will
because
consider it for sure.
this
You've
is
given me some good
really
resources
exciting
too.
stuff.
I am relatively new at Dordt. I'm one of the newest faculty there. I am on my third year, so I'm getting further in, but yes, I'm constantly learning how to do
Yeah.
this. Yep.
So you don't have to be tenured, there for 20, 30 years to have the kind of influence to make,
Mm,
take an initiative like
yeah.
this. So exciting what's happening. Dort, DORDT.edu, which refers to the Council of Dort
Yes.
during the Reformation. And Dort.edu is the website, correct?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Anything else you want to say about how people can learn more about what's going on there?
Like I mentioned, if you are a student who's interested, campus visits is a great thing to do. I think that's really helpful for students to just get their feet on campus. But yeah, they can always reach out to me if they have any questions. I'm willing to direct in the right place or answer if I can.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get at least one new student that's going to Dort because of this
That'd be great.
interview.
That would
Um,
be wonderful.
but
We're a campus that's really thriving. I know that there's several that are struggling, and we just have seen growth and growth and growth every year. It's actually one of our biggest conversations with faculty because our campus continues to grow. So lots of construction always happening. We're building a new dorm here in the next year or so. So yes, super thriving campus, and we'd love to have more students here.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kandace, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing what's going on. Incredibly exciting. And look forward to hearing more in the days ahead.
Sounds good. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Christian Business Leader Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tune in for the next episode as we continue exploring God's will and ways for business.